Welcome again to the Purposes of God. This is Doug Krieger, your host for this final video number 30 in our presentation of the Purposes of God. This is an addendum to the original 29 videos. This is video number 30, addendum part 4 to the Purposes of God, the tabernacle in the wilderness, or the tent of meeting, or the tent of the testimony. Again, this is the final portion, part 4, of video number 30, and concludes our series on the purposes of God. The earth, the sun, and the Great Pyramid of Giza. 21,600 nautical miles equals the Earth's circumference. 21,600 nautical miles divided by 360 degrees, that is the degrees in a circle, the circumference of the Earth, will equal 60 nautical miles per degree, times 25.20 inches of the sacred cubit will equal 1512, the number in gematria for the word apocalypsis, for the end of the age in Greek, times 2 to arrive at the measurement of 4 sides, or the perimeter of the Great Pyramid of Giza, would equal 3,024 linear feet, times 12 inches is equal to 36,288 linear inches, divided again by the 25.20 inch of the sacred cubit will equal 1,440 cubits, or the 144 of the New Jerusalem. Now, 6,072 linear feet is equal to 1 nautical mile, and 5,280 linear feet is equal to 1 statute mile. The difference between these two figures, 6072 minus 5280, is equal to 792 linear feet. That difference times 12 inches is equal to 9,504 linear inches, or the fractal of the Earth's distance from the Sun, which fractal is a fractal of 95,040,000 miles at the Sun's apogee, that is the furthest distance the Sun is from the Earth. Now, 9504 divided by 25.20 inches of the sacred cubit is equal to 377, or 3 and 77. 3 is the number of the triune God, in 77, perfection of completion. Also, 77 degrees is the peak of the Great Pyramid of Giza, or 3 sides of the triangle of the pyramid, with the top angle being of 77 degrees. The nautical earth mile is reflected in the moon's statute mile, and the difference is the distance from the Earth to the Sun. How's that? Earth's nautical mile is equal to 6,072 linear feet less the moon's statute mile of 5,280 linear feet, which will equal 792 linear feet, times 12 inches is equal to 9,504 linear inches, which is a fractal of the Earth's distance from the Sun at apogee, or 95,040,000 statute miles, the distance between the Earth and the Sun at its apogee, its furthest distance. 72 plus 72 is equal to 144, and 60 plus 60 on the Earth is equal to 120. The difference between 144 minus 120 is equal to 24. Divided by 360 degrees is equal to 6 into infinity. That is, God's work upon the earth and in the heavens is through man, or two sets. 72 minus 60 is equal to 12. Again, 72 minus 60 is equal to 12. 12 and 12. The patriarchs 12, the apostles 12, is equal to 24 elders divided by 360 degrees is equal to 6 into infinity. God's work to the earth is through Israel, and to the heavens through the church, or 72 divided by 60 is equal to 1.2. And again, 72 divided by 60 is equal to 1.2. Together, 1.2 plus 1.2 is equal to 2.4, or the fractal of 24, the 12 patriarchs of Israel and the 12 apostles of the Lamb. 12 plus 12 is equal to 24. And again, 12 times 12 is equal to 144, the number of the New Jerusalem. 5,280 linear feet is equal to 1 statute mile. A multiple of 1.15 will give us that same figure in nautical miles. That is, 1.15 times 5,280 linear feet will give us 6,072 linear feet. In this figure, we have a 60 and we have a 72. 6072 linear feet in a nautical mile. That is 60 and 72, or 60 nautical miles to 1 degree of the Earth's surface, and 72 years, or 1 degree, to the heavens of the great processional. Together, these add up to 132. That is 60, the Earth, plus 72, the heavens, equals 132, times 2, that is 2 sets of witnesses, equals 264, divided by 4, the number of creation, as in the 4 corners of the earth and or the 4 living creatures, his work among creation, or the 2 witnesses to the heavens and the 2 witnesses to the earth, or the witness to the heavens, is equal to 66. That is, 264 divided by 4 equals 66, or 60 plus 72 is equal to 132 divided by 2 is equal to 66. God's work on the earth and in the heavens is through man. 66. God's work to the heavens and earth is through man. 6 and 6, 2 sets of 6, 66. 12 verses 11, dealing with God's problem, the 11th horn of Daniel. 60 is equal to God's work through man upon the earth, or the 12 tribes of Israel as his witness to Gentile world powers. 60 divided by the 12 patriarchs of Israel is equal to 5. 72 is God's work through man unto the heavens, or the 12 apostles of the Lamb, who wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers in heavenly places. This is the battlefield, if you would, of the church. 72 of the great processionals, 1 degree, 72 years, divided by the 12 apostles of the Lamb equals 6. God's work on the earth, and now God's work in the heavens. Let us take the 5 upon the earth and the 6 unto the heavens. That will equal 11. That is, 5 plus 6 equals 11. God's work to the earth and to the heavens. 12 deals with 11, and 11 is 1 short of 12, or the 11th horn. The 11th, 1 tribe less, Dan, is equal to 11, or less Judas Iscariot of the 12 apostles makes the apostles 11. 12 minus 1 equals 11, or 60 plus 72 is equal to 132 divided by 12 is equal to 11. 12 versus 11. God has chosen Israel and the church, his 12, to deal with his problem, 11. God's work in the heavens and upon the earth is interrelated. 60 nautical miles, that is 1 degree of the earth's circumference, multiplied by the number of the sacred cubit of 25.20 will equal 1,512, which is the gematria for the word apocalypsis in the Greek. 72 years, that is 1 degree of the great zodiacal precessional times the sacred cubit number of 25.20 will equal 1,814.4. Now, if we take the difference between these two numbers, 1814.4 minus 1512.0, it will equal 302.4. Divided by 12, representative of either the 12 patriarchs of Israel or the 12 apostles of the Lamb, Israel and the church, it would equal to the sacred cubit number itself of 25.20. Now, taking that same number and that difference of 302.4 and dividing it by 24, representative of the 4 and 20 elders of Israel and the church again combined, 12 plus 12 equaling 24, divided into the 302.4 difference, it will equal 12.60, which is a fractal of 1260, or 1/2 the 70th week of Daniel, or 3.5 days, or 3.5 years, or 42 months, or 1260 days, or time, times, and half a time, the final conflict. Now, that was singular. Let's double that for the witness up in the heavens and upon the earth. The earth first. 2 times the 60 degrees will equal 120 degrees, if you would 120, times 25.20, the number of the sacred cubit, would equal to 3024. The same as, interestingly enough, the difference between 1814.4 and minus 1512, and we would get the fractal difference of the 1 degree difference of 302.4. Now, taking 2 times the 72 years, equaling 144 years, which is the number of the New Jerusalem in the heavens, times the number of the sacred cubit of 25.20 will equal 3628.8, which is a fractal of the perimeter of the Great Pyramid in inches, that is 36,288 inches. Now, taking this number and difference that we've doubled by 3628.8 minus 3024.0, it will equal 604.8. Again, divided by 12, either the 12 patriarchs of Israel or 12 apostles of the Lamb, will equal 50.4, which is a fractal of 5040, Plato's perfect number, and Solomon's temple perimeter in feet, or taking 604.8, the difference between doubling of the degrees of the earth from the heavens, and dividing it by 24 this time, combining both the 12 patriarchs of Israel and the 12 apostles of the Lamb, we will arrive at 25.20, the measurement of the sacred cubit in inches. These numbers are truly remarkable, uniting heaven and the earth, God's work in the last day, working with Israel and the church in the last days, a truly marvelous display of numerology by the great geometer of the universe. The height of the Great Pyramid of Giza is 481 linear feet, or 481 linear feet times 12 inches would make it 5,772 linear inches. divided by the New Jerusalem's 144 would equal 40. The obvious message is the elevation of the Great Pyramid represents the judgment of the Almighty on the day of the Lord. 481 linear feet times the measurement of the sacred cubits 25.20 equals 121,212, or 3 sets of 12, 12, 12. The sacred cubit during the great time of testing and ultimate judgment, 40, which is to try the whole earth, will be the Almighty's supreme effort in fulfillment of Daniel chapter 12 and verse 10, where it says, "Many shall be purified, made white and refined, but the wicked shall do wickedly, and none of the wicked shall understand, but the wise shall understand." Also, we have 121,212 divided by the measurement of the sacred cubits, 25.20, is equal to 4,810, or its fractal, 481, which again is the height of the Great Pyramid of Giza. 12 times 12 times 12 is equal to 1728, divided by the 144 of the New Jerusalem is equal to 12. Here, 12 times 12 and 12 times 12, both equaling 144, demonstrates that the Ancient of Days is working with both Israel and the church, the woman in the wilderness, to be the woman, the Lamb's bride. In the crucible of the latter half, that is the 1260 days, or time times and half a time, or the 42 months, found in Daniel chapter 12 and verse 7 of Daniel's 70th week, in his ultimate quest of the New Jerusalem, the pinnacle of his creation. It is during the 1,260 days that the woman flees into the wilderness. Indeed, the dragon was enraged with a woman, and he went to make war with the rest of her offspring who keep the commandments of God, Israel, and have the testimony of Jesus, the church. This is found in Revelation chapter 12 and verse 17. Therefore, the 1,260 times the 144, that is, the 12 times 12 is equal to 144, is equal to 181,440 times 2, that is, the two witnesses, is equal to 362,880, or the 36,288 inches, which is a fractal of the 362,880, and the perimeter of the Great Pyramid of Giza in inches, divided by the measurement of the sacred cubit of 25.20 inches, for his two witnesses are measured by the divine sacred cubit during the 1,260 days of purification. All of that will equal to 144. For this is precisely what he desires, the New Jerusalem. In our next slide, we're going to be discussing the differences between the Toth cubit of 20.6 inches and the sacred cubit of 25.20 inches. There has been quite a bit of debate throughout the centuries, especially the last two, with regards to the measurements of the Great Pyramid of Giza. Was it measured by using the Toth cubit of 20.6 inches or the sacred cubit of 25.20 inches? Of course, we're going to contend that it was used, that is, the sacred cubit was in use for the building of the Great Pyramid of Giza. The slide that you see before you has a chart in it, the Great Pyramid's size in measurements of each of its sides, one side, two sides, four sides, and the sacred cubit measurement juxtaposed to those sides, along with the Toth cubit measurement and Flinders Petrie's empirical measurements which were taken in the early 1880s. Now, on one side of the Great Pyramid, by using the sacred cubit measurement, looking at the chart, we find the 25.20 inch one sacred cubit will give us 756 linear feet, or 9,072 linear inches. By the use of the 12th cubit, we measure 440 units on one side, giving us 755.33 linear feet, or 9,064 linear inches. Not much different, but substantially much, as you'll see. Now, the average empirical measurement that Flinders Petrie gave to the pyramid was 755.805 feet, averaging all four sides together. This gave him an average of 9,069.66 inches on a given side of the pyramid. Now, by measuring two sides of the Great Pyramid of Giza, we come to 1512 linear feet, which is the number in Gematria of the word apocalypsis, a very significant number. With the 12th cubit, we simply come to 1,510.66, a somewhat miscellaneous configuration. Now, it's interesting that Dr. Petrie, measured the south and the east sides of the Giza Pyramid. Those two sides together come to 1,511.95 linear feet, very close to the 1,512 linear feet of the Great Pyramid in the use of the sacred cubit measurement. Now, with regards to all four sides of the base of the Great Pyramid of Giza, using the sacred cubit of 25.20 inches, we will arrive at a perimeter of 3,024 linear feet. That figure divided by the sacred cubit itself of 25.20, interestingly enough, comes to 120 of the sacred cubit measurements within the 3,024 linear feet, a very significant number, as we will find later on. The 3,024 times 12 inches will give us 36,288 linear inches. When divided by the sacred cubit of 25.20, we will arrive at 1,440, the 144 of the New Jerusalem. Now, the Thoth cubit measurements are simply on four sides 3,021.32 feet divided by itself of 20.60, you arrive at 146.65, a miscellaneous number. If you were to take the 3,021.32 linear feet of the 12th cubit and multiply it by 12 inches, of course, you're going to come to 36,255.84 inches. Divided by the 12th cubit itself, you get 20.6 and a miscellaneous number of 1,759.9922. Flinders Petrie measurements are so close to the 756 linear feet on one side of the Great Pyramid using the sacred cubit measurement of 25.20 inches that it's quite inconsequential given weather and erosion and so forth constricting the size of the Great Pyramid. Now, these empirical measurements of the Great Pyramid of Giza were taken by Dr. Flinders Petrie in the early 1880s. They are on the length of each of the sides of the Pyramid of Giza. On its west side, 255.76 linear feet. On the north side, 755.41 linear feet. On the east side, 755.87 linear feet. And on the south side, 756.8 linear feet. The pyramid's average side was again measured by Dr. Petrie at 9,069.66 inches. The superiority of the 25.20-inch sacred cubit of the divine geometer of the Great Pyramid. Now, on one side again, let's look at more carefully the use of the 25.20-inch sacred cubit measurement for the building of the Great Pyramid, and we will find that on one side the measurement is 756 linear feet, or 9,000 72 linear inches, divided by the measurement of the sacred cubit itself of 25.20 inches, will give us 360 degrees, which is the number of degrees in a circle. On two of its sides, we, of course, come up with the number of 1,512 linear feet, which is the gematria for the word apocalypsis in Greek, a profound prophetic statement. On all four sides, we have 3,024 linear feet of the Great Pyramid of Giza, divided by the sacred cubit of 25.20 inches. It will equal, interestingly enough, 120 or 12 of the New Jerusalem and 120 in the upper room. On four sides of the pyramid, we come up to, again, 3,024 linear feet, which in inches is 36,288 inches. That divided by the sacred cubit of 25.20 will give us 1,440. The wall of the New Jerusalem, or 12 times 12, which will equal 144. Now, our conclusions from these comparisons: the builders of the Great Pyramid of Giza, insofar as the exterior, and to a greater extent the interior, or chambers and shafts and so forth, used the measurement of the sacred cubit of 25.20 inches throughout, and not the so-called Thoth cubit of 20.6 inches, named after the Egyptian god of math and hieroglyphics, with its mandatory use of pi. The use of the hexagon, sphere, and circle would have been preferable. But the preponderance of outcomes in using the sacred cubit measurement of 25.20 are overwhelming and integrate the purposes of God throughout the scriptures, including measurements of Noah's Ark, the Great Pyramid of Giza, the tabernacle in the wilderness, the Ark of the Covenant, the four temples of Israel, and the measurements and descriptions of the New Jerusalem. The final word on Daniel's 70th week and the 2,520 days of that week, plus the 75 days unto the 1,335th day, as recorded in Daniel chapter 12. Daniel's 70th week and the 2520 plus 30 plus 45 days, or the total of 1,335 days. 1,335 divided by 33 is equal to 40.45 into infinity of 45454545 into infinity. Therefore, you have two numbers here. One is 40, the period of judgment, the first 30 days, or unto the 1,290th day of Daniel chapter 12 and verse 11. 40 is the number of judgment and testing, plus 45, the period of infinity, or 45 days of blessing, which is forever. 20 days divided by 75 days is equal to 336, or 33 and the number 6. The Son of Man, 33, or Messiah, 33, is dealing with man 6 in the final week, the 70th week of Daniel's prophecy, found in Daniel chapter 9, verses 24 through 27, and continued in Daniel chapter 12. There are 1,335 days times 25.20, the fractal of the 2520 of the entire week of Daniel, is equal to 336. Again, the numbers 33 and 6. The Son of Man, or Messiah, 33, is dealing with man 6 during the final 75 days of Daniel chapter 12. The final word on Daniel's 70th week and the 20 days plus the 75 days unto the 1,335th day, which has everything to do with the marriage supper of the Lamb. Blessed is he who waits and comes to the 1,335 days, and blessed are those who are called to the marriage supper of the Lamb. Daniel chapter 12 and verse 12, and Revelation chapter 19 and verse 9. 45 days in which Messiah unveils himself to Israel and brings both Israel and the church into full blessing, or the 12 patriarchs and the 12 apostles of the Lamb, his divine number in working with man, 24. Therefore, 45 days of Daniel chapter 12 unto the 1335th day, or 45 days beyond the 1290 days, times 24, Israel and the church, represented by the 24 elders before his throne, or 45 days times 24 is equal to 1080, the radius of the moon, times 2, the moon's diameter of 2160 in miles. She reflects the glory of the sun. She is the moon beneath her feet, the reflection of his glory as seen in Israel and the church, the New Jerusalem, or 12 times 12 is equal to 144, the number of the New Jerusalem. The New Jerusalem. In review now, the 144 cubits. Total width of the tabernacle's 48 boards, top and bottom, at 1.5 cubits, top and bottom, times 2, is equal to 3 cubits, times the 48 boards is equal to 144 cubits, times 25.20 inches of the sacred cubit gives us 36,288 linear inches, divided by the 25.20 inch cubit is equal to 1,440 cubits, or the 144 of the New Jerusalem. The perimeter of the Great Pyramid of Giza is precisely 36,288 linear inches, or 756 linear feet on one side of the Great Pyramid of Giza, times 12 inches is equal to 9,072 linear inches on one side, times its 4 sides of the Great Pyramid will equal 36,288 linear inches, divided by the sacred cubit of 25.20 inches will equal 1,440 cubits, or the 144 of the New Jerusalem. The outer tabernacle curtain wall of 50 cubits on one side, and 100 cubits on its longer side, and 50 cubits on its opposite 50 side, and 100 cubits on its opposite 100 side, that is, the whole perimeter of the outer tabernacle curtain wall is 300 linear cubits in all, times 25.20 inch of the sacred cubit itself will equal 7,560 linear inches, or, if you would, one side as a fractal of the 756 linear foot of the measurement in feet again of the Great Pyramid of Giza. And 4 of those 756 sides of the Great Pyramid of Giza will equal to 3,024 linear feet, times 12 inches is equal to 36,288 linear inches, divided by the sacred cubit of 25.20 inches, again will equal 1,440 cubits, or the 144 of the New Jerusalem. Thus the measurements of the outer court walls echo the wall of the New Jerusalem, 144. Then he measured its wall, 144 cubits, according to the measure of a man, that is, of an angel. Both angel and man, heaven and earth, combine together to form the New Jerusalem. God's purposes through his name. The 216-letter name of God is really a 72-part name, since it is a sequence of 72 triads of letters, all of which are derived from permutations on Exodus chapter 14, verses 19 through 21, which itself is composed of 3 verses of 72 letters each, or 3 sets of 72. To create the first triad, you put together the first letter of Exodus chapter 14 and verse 19, and the last letter of Exodus 14 and verse 20, and then the first letter of Exodus 14 and verse 21. To create the next triad, you put together the second letter of Exodus chapter 14 verse 19, and then the second to the last of Exodus chapter 14 and verse 20, and the second letter of Exodus 14:21. This continues until all the letters are used up. This reference is from Yehuda Berg's The 72 Names of God Technology for the Soul. 3. 72, 216, 288, 144, and the number 2160. 3 sets of 72 are equal to 3 times 72 equals 216. The 3 degrees of the great zodiacal precessional is equal to 216 years, or of the 25,920 years in a full 360-degree cycle of the great precessional. 3 degrees times 72 years is equal to 216 years. 216 plus 72 is equal to 288. Divided by 2 gives us the number of the New Jerusalem, 144. Or 3 plus 1 is equal to 4 times 72 is equal to 288 divided by 2 is equal to 144. 216 is a fractal of 2160, the diameter of the moon. The triune God, 3, reverberates in the heavens, 216, which is reflected upon the moon beneath her feet, 2160. For she, Israel, and the church, his work upon earth and in the heavens, attests to his name and his masterpiece in dealing with principalities and powers in heavenly places. The heavens declare the glory of God, and the expanse of heaven shows the work of his hands. Psalm 1 and verse 19. From Eden to the New Jerusalem, the Ancient of Days paves his way. 144, the number of the New Jerusalem, plus 216, the name of God, is equal to 360, or 360 degrees. That is, God's ultimate purpose in the New Jerusalem with his name, the circle of both the great precessional and the moon, Earth's 360-degree circumferences. 144 also is equal to light from the Hebrew gematria, or 2 times 72 is equal to 144. Now 72 divided by the 25.20 measurement of the sacred cubit is equal to 3.6, or the fractal of 360, that is 360 degrees. God measures the great precessional by his sacred cubit measurement. Kadim or Kadim or Quidim is the Ancient of Days. This is found in Daniel chapter 7 and verse 9. The Hebrew of this word, kuf, is equal to 100 in Hebrew gematria. The plus the dalid is equal to 4, and mem is equal to 40, or 100 plus 4 plus 40 is equal to 144. We want to thank Dr. P.R. Azule for this input. It also means as well before, antiquity, eastward as in east of Eden, from Strong's Concordance of the Hebrew words 6923, 6924. 144 can also mean the Garden of Eden. 144 is equal to the Garden of Eden. From the Garden of Eden to the New Jerusalem, the purposes of God are declared. And he, the beast, opened his mouth in blasphemy against God, to blaspheme his name, his tabernacle, and those who dwell in heaven. Then the temple of God was opened in heaven, and the ark of his covenant was seen in his temple. After these things I looked, and behold, the sanctuary of the tabernacle of the testimony in heaven was opened. Behold, the tabernacle of God is with men, and he will dwell with them, and they shall be his people. God himself will be with them and be their God. Revelation chapter 13 in verse 6, and Revelation 11 in verse 19. Revelation 15 verse 5, and Revelation chapter 21 verse 3. Again, I have been your host, Doug Krieger. May the Lord bless you richly as you study his word and seek to know him, whom to know is life, and life abundant. And this concludes our four-part addendum, video number 30. We hope you've enjoyed this. Again, we can be found at www.the-tribulation-network.com. Again, signing off, but certainly looking forward to that blessed day and the soon appearing of the great God and our Savior, Jesus Christ. God bless you again, and thank you for viewing and for listening to this special 30-part 4+ addendum. God bless.